So today I'll be sharing about Gevura. So Gevura from the Kabbalah Center, David Ghiyam, and it's the archetype of Isaac, Yitzchak, Esav, and Yaakov has Yitzchak as their father, and Yitzchak's father is Abraham. His older brother was Yishmael. So it's all about limits, receiving, definition, boundaries, strength. It's really like this left column, the left arm especially, and judgment. So Isaac is saved right before the sacrifice. God commands Avram to offer his son on the altar. He's bound up, and at the last second, an angel says, you passed the test, don't touch him. So Isaac also blessed the good liar instead of the bad one, the bad honest one. So we say like Esav was telling the truth, but he was bad. Yaakov was not telling the truth. He was pretending to be Esav. What happened? He convinced his father that he's really Esav, and he got the blessings of the firstborn. He came out second. And in the name of the good God, just escaped murder and became traumatized. His father claimed to have been stopped by an angel because he was taking his love of God too far. Like the firstborns begging their fathers and rulers to let the Egyptian Jewish slaves go, but they didn't. And even though it was promised that they'd thus perish, when I bring that in, it's like my own comment about how there was 10 plagues in Egypt. Avram was told, your grandchildren, your descendants will go to slavery, will be in Egypt and in exile. Anyway, in Egypt, eventually, when they were freed from Egypt, God sent 10 plagues through Moses, and the last one was death of the firstborn. Now, only God could know that, because people could sometimes hide a baby or convince everyone that, it was a different person's father, so you don't know who's really the firstborn. But the firstborns, who knew that they were the firstborns, ran to Pharaoh and said, let them go, or else we're going to die. Look, 9 other plagues all came true. You didn't believe him, but they didn't. They didn't listen to them. They didn't let the Jewish slaves go. So it's like this idea that Avram was going to kill his own son. We'd say it's like he's taking it too far. He was stopped by an angel. But from Yitzchak's side, this is like traumatizing. So anyway, we learned about fire. Fire, the Gevura, is a few signs. It's Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. All of them have this like ego problem. In other words, selfish, self-seeking, self-obsessed. And the problem with Gevura is too much light. The greatest revelation without earning it, it becomes unstable, a shattering container, in a too quick versus a mercy way. The mercy way is slow, filtered, and gentle, lots of time between cause and effect, or results of the seed planted that comes via Zera Anpin into Malchut, involving the whole self, in a time frame. But, when we're too much, imbalanced into Gevura, it's impatient, unwilling, intolerant. Like, I want it, and I want it now, and I want it for myself. Judgment is really, effect and cause are very close together, of the seeds that were planted, like the vessel and the light, or Zer Anpin, which is like not the intellectual, but the emotive, or the emotion is energy in motion, like the bodily sort of, everything up to the head, kind of like experiencing sort of the expressing and grounding. So this is like the filter of Malchut and Zer Anpin is separated. In other words, it takes time to trickle down. It's like the decisions to trickle in. Like we keep telling ourselves affirmations every day. It could take time for us to fully believe it. Otherwise, it could be like right away. So when we're quick to criticize without pausing to ground and meditate in love, that waiting builds resistance, which can carry the level of light. It's not forgiving others for mistakes which we perceive, which are like kind of coming from our own potential vision, mistakes, and can be actually us not seeing the light and blaming them for it. When we can't see, we're blaming them. It's like judging. It's being reactive, insecure, that causes the judging. So becoming a pure vessel through pain, the results of gossip, stealing, will be immediately apparent, and everyone will transform who's exposed to it. In other words, if cause and effect, being separate, talking bad, if right away the effect was there, we would be a pure vessel, right? So the pain takes time. If we're judging others as harshly as we can't even handle those judgments, it could take time for all that pain that we're inflicting and wanting everyone to be punished. Like, I have this sometimes. I want others to be punished who do the wrong thing. I feel it will make them pure. They won't be against others. So incoming pressures or pressuring others is also gevura. When we are in the light, when we're the light, it means we could embarrass terrorizers into being the light too while they're around us. Their ego will let go of their greediness and pettiness if I am carrying that vibration in such a way that it bleeds into the surround, and vice versa. So in other words, when we want it all and we want it, to share, nudging and pushing like an energy center that's feeding, that results in imbalanced desire. Now, maybe our control issues can come from thinking we have the right to judge everyone, but no one has the right to judge us, or that we're not going to be judged as harshly as we judge. So this cause and effect idea, Gevura has to be balanced. Gevura is cause and effect, and also like desire and getting what we want. And the desire could be the cause, and then getting what we want could be the effect. Or the desire could be the cause, and not getting what we want and feeling dissatisfied over it could be the effect. So every morning, witnesses stand before us when we wake up, and they judge us, because that's why they say, happy are the righteous, secure like a young lion, not afraid of judgment now or later. The angel of destruction can't distinguish between good and bad once meeting the angel. So in other words, we are blinded. It's sort of like the angel of destruction takes over, looks through our eyes, and we see in a way that causes us to be destructive. So that's when we have wanted too much for ourselves. We wanted too much of the portion, and the heavenly court of judgment above, there's the earthly court of judgment below, and God never smites a righteous man unless it's to grant healing to the generation, or to make an atonement for their sins as a distraction to the evil, to save the rest of the world. This righteous one who suffers for the generation gets heavenly rule in this world and in the world to come, because the righteous person is judged by good inclination, and evil by the evil inclination. Evil people are judged by the evil inclination, and intermediate are judged by both. So we know of this in Tzaddik, Rosh, and Beinani. And Sibor means congregation, so we know it really makes up the whole congregation. And we have kings, the head of the year, the Rosh Hashanah. These are the judgments. We can ask for blessing, and when we ask for more blessings, we have to do more work, because cause and effect, right? Otherwise it becomes unstable. Our desire gets out of control. And when we chase to receive versus when we're grateful for the arrivals, we could start to say, like, better to be satisfied and make peace with the now and be okay with a little than to keep needing more. And this is a lifelong work. So the righteous, evil befalls him, versus the righteous, goodness befalls him. The second stems from the tree of life, which is drawn from Zeir Anpin, and has no judgment, no evil inclination. And so judgment means, again, like we said, there's separation, right? Cause and effect. So if somebody is a pure vessel, they don't even, the first stems from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, in other words. So when someone has a righteous man where evil befalls him, we know it's coming from Malchut, where evil's under his or her dominion. And when somebody has none, it means they're not even in the same world as evil. In other words, they have no evil inclination. They're not judging, so no judging is coming in. Like we said, putting out, coming in. And resonating with others. And when we repent for causing harm and live proactively daily each day, let's each day's be a judgment day, we actually can receive miracles, because from the day before, because there's nothing bad being grown in the dark. So the pure vessel of being without judgment is going to bed with a good conscience. Divine inspiration is the next day. So until the age of 12 or 13, Satan, the evil inclinations, the angel of the evil inclination, gives the child the desires to receive that she or he can transform after, aka receive corresponding light. And if the child dies before that, they were a tikkun, a volunteer for their parents. This is Kabbalistic truths, ability or teachings. We could say there's more to learn. It may not be true. Like we could learn about it, but this is an idea. Ability to choose, reveal, or conceal is given at 12 or 13. So that's the spirit, the ruach. From 12 to 13 to 20, children whose environment is causing them to become more selfish and wicked can die and as the righteous, because they aren't earning light after 12, 13 in the life they have. And just to finish up with Gevura, before I just talk about two other little topics here, every possible destiny is viewable from every possible angle. The infinite past and future and present realities overlap for us to align with, where if we look at the 4 levels of Gevura, disease is the 4th, before death, because there's no chance of repair or correcting, since they're still choosing to be a victim. So when the righteous are not suffering, God doesn't care about the world. atonement replaced by judgment, aka punishment. And then there could even be the idea that, so let me back up for a second. If we could see every possible reality, and then Satan is okay with taking one righteous for 6 billion others. He's with glee. He doesn't care about money, fancy enjoyment. The person doesn't care about money, fancy enjoyment, glory, or vacations. Instead, he or she just wants to help people. So she or he agrees to bear the suffering. Satan will take that one. And 6 billion others who maybe do care about money, fancy enjoyment, glory, vacations, for themselves. So this one has the capacity, we would say, to represent 6 billion people. We call them a tzaddik, someone who contains multitudes in them. And that's what we say, when the righteous are not suffering, how God is saying, I don't care about the world, because there's no one who could contain the multitudes. There's no, in other words, atonement itself replaced by judgment, this is what brings in the judgment. When one righteous person is being judged, Hashem is caring for the entire world. 6 billion people are not being judged, right? That's the idea. And since there's 4 levels before death, there's no chance of repair or correcting. Disease being the 4th, when someone's still choosing to be a victim even when they're going to die, rather than basically take accountability, be a strong person in themselves, and account for where they took too much or where they weren't grateful. And I'll stop here because it's getting, the other stuff is not really exactly this exact topic. So I'll continue with the similar continuing topics tomorrow, to do with being a receiver, kind of doing work in the world.